Hello, I'm your host, Jonathan Miller, and I'm joined by Guy Cipriani, Chief Business Officer and Senior Vice President for Aethlon Medical, ticker symbol AEMD on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange. Guy, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit more about Aethlon Medical.
So we're a clinical stage medical device company. We're developing a Class 3 combination product in the U.S. and internationally. Historically, we've done a fair amount of work on the infectious disease side, but our technology also has utility in other diseases, including cancer.
All right. So what are these typical products? What do they look like?
So we're developing a device called the Hemopurifier. It resembles a hemodialysis cartridge, and essentially what we do is we filter a patient's blood through an extracorporeal circuit outside of their body to remove noxious particles such as viruses and cancer exosomes.
Interesting. And how'd you get involved with the company? What's your background in?
So my background is engineering and an MBA. I've been with pharma and biotech companies, both public and private, for the past 20 plus years. And I've been on the board of the company since June of 2018. I joined inside as Chief Business Officer, Senior Vice President in January of 2021.
Excellent. And how about the rest of the management team? What's their experience?
So we do have a very experienced management team. Chuck Fisher is our CSO. Chuck has been involved in academic and in industry, in academia and industry. He's been involved with developing drugs for sepsis, which is a very challenging condition to develop drugs for. Chuck has worked at Eli Lilly, Abbott Labs, Cardiome Pharma in Canada, has vast experience. Our CFO, Jim Frakes, has been with the company since, I think, 2008. And in his career on the VC and private equity side, he's raised over $300 million for companies.
Excellent.
Steve LaRosa is our Chief Medical Officer. Steve and Chuck worked together at Eli Lilly. They both worked on sepsis drugs together. Steve is an infectious disease doctor who's worked in a lot of different areas and technologies, but he also has a background in extracorporeal devices. And then lastly, in February of this last year, Lee Arnold joined the company as Chief Science Officer. Lee has a 36-year history in drug development. He's got a background in chemistry. He's been a very valuable addition to the team, and he's helping us really figure out the translational science of our technology as well as how to move it forward.
Sounds like a strong leadership team.
It's very strong.
Now, there are only a few companies with blood filtration devices. 2 of them are private. 1 of them is public. What's your competitive advantage?
So I think what makes us unique is we can capture and remove from the patient these noxious, very small particles like viruses and exosomes. We're somewhat directed towards removing those types of particles. These very small, roughly smaller than 200 nanometer diameter particles have a carbohydrate coating on them, which our technology uniquely captures and holds. And so I think that's what makes us unique from our competitors.
Excellent. And I understand you're doing a severe COVID-19 trial in India. Can you tell us a little bit about that trial?
Sure. So we're treating patients that are critically ill in the ICU that have COVID, where it's believed our device can be helpful. So if they're viremic in the ICU, we can remove virus from that patient. But we also have demonstrated in one emergency use patient in the U.S. that we can remove exosomes, which are contributing to that viral disease and the symptoms that are manifesting in those patients.
Wow. And you recently established a subsidiary in Australia. What have been the primary growth drivers to your expansion?
Yeah, so our subsidiary in Australia is enabling us to have a solid footprint to do clinical trials internationally, and then eventually commercialize our drug outside of the U.S. The Australian affiliate is ideal. First of all, it's ideal to do cancer development in Australia. There's a lot of patients. Melanoma is very prevalent in Australia. There's very strong principal investigators as well as centers where cancer studies can be done. And importantly, but not the most important, but still very relevant, is that there's a very attractive R&D tax incentive program in Australia, which can return about 44 cents on every dollar we spend in Australia. So that's quite attractive.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your preclinical programs?
Yeah, so preclinically, essentially what we're doing is showing the utility of our technology in other disease states. So one such area is long COVID. We have an MTA in place with University of California, San Francisco. They've shipped long COVID patient samples to us, and we're trying to do the translational science to show that our technology can be useful there. So that's one example of the preclinical science that we're doing.
Oh, fantastic. And can you summarize some of your investment highlights?
Yeah, we actually are traded on NASDAQ. Our ticker is AEMD. We have about $17.5 million cash on our balance sheet as of December of 2022. We have no debt. And so we think we have a very attractive investment opportunity.
Excellent. And for our audience, what is the best way for investors to follow along with your story and get in touch with you?
I think the best thing to do is to go to our website. We have current presentations there, as well as links to the company if you have specific questions.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you, Guy Cipriani.
Thank you.
Thank you.